All right. Hello, honors chemistry families. My name is Mr. Klausmeier. I'm the chemistry, honors chemistry, and honors advanced chemistry teacher at Lutheran North. And I'm going to be making this video just to share with you guys a little bit about honors chemistry this year. Let me say before I get started that your kids thus far have been very great. They've been motivated, fun, and they're just a super sharp group of kids. So that's just been great working with them so far. And also, before I get started, I would like to, I guess, just make a small preemptive apology because I'm still, I feel kind of awkward making these videos like this. I'm used to doing this face to face and getting some feedback from people. So if it seems kind of choppy or weird, that I apologize. That's my fault. Still getting used to filming myself. I don't get that feedback from a computer screen that I'm used to in the classroom. So let's get started. We're talking about honors chemistry. So one of the main differences between chemistry and honors chemistry is the math component. I do have a pretty substantially higher expectation of the pre-existing math skills. Now that being said, I do teach the math skills that are necessary to be successful in the course. That's the first unit. So if you've talked to your kids at all about what they're learning so far, a lot of it's the math skills that are going to be required for the rest of the year. So that's what we're going over right now. While we're talking about math, let me just mention briefly calculators. They'll need a calculator. It doesn't need to be a super fancy graphing calculator for this course. If they have that, that's great if they know how to use it. But just a regular $10, $15 scientific calculator is just fine for this class, but they do need one. I don't have enough extras to give everybody an extra one on a test, so they need to have a calculator for this class for sure. And more importantly, they need to know how to use it. I think most kids have a calculator. Only a few of them have told me that they don't have them, and they've said that they're working on getting them. But a lot of them aren't 100% sure how to use the functions that are necessary. Now, I'm not telling you that because you have to sit down and teach them how to use a calculator. I can teach them how to use the calculator just fine if they ask. So that's the key is maybe mention to them, ask them if they know how to use the calculator, if that's something they're struggling with. That's always, I feel bad when I see kids get stuff wrong, and I can tell it's because they just haven't asked how to do a specific function on a calculator. So I've already done that with some of them, taught them how to use different things on the calculators that they maybe haven't had to do before. So just encourage them if they don't know how to use all the functions on the calculator that they'll need. Encourage them to come to me and ask for that. I'm more than willing to help with that at any time. Usually just 30, 45 seconds after class is enough to get them where they need to be with the calculators. It's usually pretty simple. So like I said, we're talking about math skills right now. That chapter is about to come to a close, and then we'll revisit as needed. But moving on from there, some topics that we'll be covering are atomic theory, periodic trends, bonding models, nomenclature, organic chemistry, chemical reactions, stoichiometry, physical states of matter, solutions, thermochemistry, equilibrium, and kinetics. So that's just sort of a look of the topics in order that we'll be going through for this year. Now, from there, let me talk for a minute about grading. This is another difference between the honors chemistry and the chemistry course. So the honors chemistry course, this course, is graded, the grades are weighted. So tests are worth 50% of the quarter grade. Labs are worth 30% of the quarter grade, and homework is worth 20%. So if you were to look on PowerSchool at the time of me making this video, you would see probably a lot of 10 out of 10s on homework. A lot of homework, not all homework, but a lot of homework, especially in the beginning, is completion grades. And once the tests and labs start coming in, those completion grades are not worth as much as those other things. So it's really important that when they're doing lab reports, that they're taking those things seriously. I grade those a lot harder than the homework that I grade. So it's important that they do their best on that. And that's a group work thing, which I'll get to in a minute. And the test, studying for the test is super important. I try to make it as easy as possible for them to study for the test. I give out a study guide 2 to 3 days in advance, and we have at least 1, maybe 2 days of in-class time where they're able to work on their study guide, come up with questions, and then ask me questions about the test. So I try to make it as easy as possible for them to study for those tests because they're worth so much. Labs are worth 30%. So labs are also super important. Not only do they need to follow the rules, the lab protocol when they're in lab, but they need to meet expectations when it comes to the lab report. And when the first lab report comes up, I'm very clear with them, and I give them handouts and examples of what a lab report should look like and what a lab report should not look like. So I try to be very clear on that so that there's no blindsiding that happens there. Labs, kids need goggles. Hopefully, they've brought that to your attention by now, but I'll bring it to your attention now. They need goggles. Splash goggles are preferred. You can get those on Amazon for pretty cheap. I haven't found any on Amazon that I've actually bought, but I think that they're around $10 on Amazon, and then you can get them at Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot. Splash goggles, pretty common thing that all those stores carry. They need those, and I'll be giving them another reminder probably a week before the first lab where they'll need them, but that'll be coming up real soon. So make sure that you talk to them about whether or not they have goggles. In the past, I've kept the goggles in my classroom, but with all of the new cleaning protocol and things like that, it's just better for the kids to keep their own goggles, which adds another component of responsibility. They really need to be responsible about keeping those goggles in their locker, in their bag, in their car, and remembering to bring them to my class when I tell them to bring the goggles for lab. Now, reminders for that, I always tell them the day before, 2 days before, and usually even 3 days before as well, when they're going to need their goggles. I also will be posting every day on Teams. I've been pretty good about it so far. I'm trying to be every day, post on Teams, recap of that day in class, and then usually a little precursor to what we're going to be doing activity-wise the next day in class. So if they're not checking that, they really should be. I also post resources on there. So if I give a homework assignment, I post that assignment on Teams. So if your child is absent for a day, they can go on Teams and look at what was assigned. It is not an expectation that they go on Teams if they're absent, do it, and bring it in the next day because they weren't there in class to learn or they weren't in there in class to do the activity. But if they want to get a jump start, they can go ahead and look at that. The same rule applies in any other class. If you're absent for a day, you get an extra day that you're in school to do the assignment. So if you don't show up on Monday, I can give you the assignment Tuesday. You give it to me Wednesday. I usually even give them one extra day to Thursday, just because I know how that work piles up on them. So I try to be gracious with that, with absences. Let's see, I'm trying to find where we're at in my notes here. So goggles, we got that. I really try to emphasize organization skills. So they don't get a whole lot of like guided note sheets. Their note taking is they're taking their own notes, like in a piece of note or in a notebook like this. So we talk about taking notes and note taking strategies and things like that. That's something that I really think is important moving on as they continue to study science. I think that that's a skill that is very necessary for them to have. As far as us being in touch, if I have any major concerns, I will definitely be in touch with you. But as far as like following their grade and stuff like that, checking Power School is going to be huge for parents because I try to stay pretty up to date on Power School. I'm usually, if for example an assignment was due today, I'm usually putting it in Power School this evening. And if not this evening, the next day. The only time that doesn't apply is with labs and homework, just because sometimes those things take a little bit longer for me to grade. I can't get them in Power School as quick, but definitely within a week. I try to be shorter than a week with getting those things in. As of right now, if anything is not in Power School, if you see a 0 for anything, that would be missing work. The only exception to that is the assignment that's called Teams comment. The Teams comment is not input for anyone. But other than that, if you see 0s especially, that's missing work that your child has not done. So if you see that, you could talk to them about it. I don't put in 0s unless someone has had the opportunity to turn an assignment in and has not done so. I already said this a little bit, but I use Teams every day. You can check that, I think, if you get on your kids' team, but they should be checking it every day. Some main goals for this class, other than the obvious chemistry-oriented goals, are increasing the students' ability to work in groups. We work in groups in labs all the time, and I don't always let them choose their own groups. So being able to work with a variety of people and sort out who's doing what, we don't agree, what do we do, stuff like that. That's a skill that I really try to build. Responsibility. I try to give them reminders, but if someone doesn't turn something in, I don't go hound them for it every single day. They get the opportunity to turn it in the day it's due. I give them a reminder and I tell them, if you don't have it, you show it to me tomorrow, and then that responsibility is on them moving forward. Note taking is another huge responsibility. Bringing materials to class, books, calculators, notebook, pencil, stuff like that. That's a responsibility. The biggest thing that people usually have trouble with is bringing the book every day, and I can understand that. It's a lot to carry around in your bag every day. We try to build critical and orderly thinking. That's huge, especially in this first unit, in the math unit. The orderly thinking really comes in. We try to build on that for the rest of the year. But more than anything, we're really just trying to get the kids to have a better appreciation and understanding for this world that God's created. We're looking at the order that God has put into this world at a sub-microscopic level. We're looking at how everything is organized, the similarities, the differences, how He designed and created this world for us, and how cool it is that we can, through the means that He's given us, actually study it and figure out how things are stitched together by Him. So if you want to contact me at all, you can email me. That's the best way. I try to be pretty prompt with responding to emails that require a response. My email is jklausmeier, that's jklausmeier@lhsa.com. You can feel free to shoot me an email anytime. Your kids can do that as well. They can also contact me on Teams. I try to be really good about replying to those. They're all doing really well so far. This group seems super motivated to learn and continue to grow. So I'm really excited to continue working with them.